I've always loved my privacy. That's why I moved into this quiet apartment complex almost 4 years ago. The neighbors kept to themselves, and so did I. For the most part, it was peaceful, until recently. Something shifted. Something unsettling. It started with a knock. At first, I brushed it off. Just a harmless neighbor, I thought. But then came more knocks, and strange encounters. A new face. Always there. Watching. Waiting. And suddenly, my home, my safe place, didn't feel safe anymore. This is the true story of how a man I barely knew began appearing at my door, in my parking lot, and around every corner. It's a story about instincts, boundaries, and that eerie feeling when you just know, something isn't right. The first few years, when I first moved into this apartment, it felt like a fresh start. Clean space, reasonable rent, and a quiet vibe. My next-door neighbor, an older man, was friendly enough. We weren't close, but we exchanged the usual nods and hellos. For a while, I barely noticed him. But then, there was a brief period when things felt off. I started noticing different men coming in and out of his apartment late at night. They didn't look like family or friends. They looked sketchy. Hardened faces, hushed voices, quick glances toward my door. It only lasted a few weeks, and then nothing. The late-night traffic stopped. Life went back to normal. I let it go. A new neighbor moves in. About a month ago, I noticed someone new moving into the apartment. Another man? Early 50s, maybe? Stocky build, tired eyes. From the start, he gave me bad vibes. You know that feeling in your gut when something's just off? That was him. So I kept my distance. Didn't speak. Didn't engage. I wanted to keep things simple. But slowly, I let my guard down. He seemed chatty, maybe a bit lonely. He'd wave when I left for work. Say hello when I got my mail. One day I finally said hi back. Then small talk started. Then compliments. I thought, maybe I misjudged him. Maybe he's just awkward. Harmless. I was wrong. The knocking begins. The first time he knocked on my door, I assumed it was a mistake. I opened it, and he launched into a strange story about how someone scratched his car, and he thought maybe I'd seen something. I politely told him no, I hadn't. He lingered, rambling, looking around. Eventually, I closed the door. Thought that was the end of it? Then he knocked again, and again, 4 times over the next 2 weeks. But this time, I didn't answer. Something in me froze every time I heard that knock. I stopped feeling safe in my own home. The surveillance game. Soon after the knocking started, I noticed a new addition outside his window. A camera. It was angled directly at the parking lot. At my parking space. At first, I thought I was being paranoid. But then the pattern began. I'd leave my apartment, and like clockwork, there he was, outside. Sometimes standing, sometimes pretending to be on his phone, sometimes trying to talk to me again. It got weirder. I'd come home, and before I could even lock my car, he'd be there, smiling, waving, starting a conversation I never wanted. He always seemed to know when I was home, or when I was leaving. That's when the fear truly settled in. What do I do now? I didn't want to overreact, but I couldn't pretend nothing was happening. My instincts were screaming at me. I felt watched, trapped. I started avoiding my front door, leaving only when I had to, looking over my shoulder every time I came home. It felt like I was living in a horror film, except this was real life. I thought about confronting him. I thought about writing a note. I even asked friends for advice. Some said, just ignore him. Others said, you need to do something now before it gets worse. One friend said, next time he knocks, don't open the door. Just say loudly through the door, Stop coming here. This is harassment. But I couldn't bring myself to do it. Something about his eyes made my skin crawl. I didn't want him angry. I didn't know what he was capable of. The email that changed everything. Eventually, I emailed my landlord. I asked a simple question. Do you do background checks on all tenants? Then, I told her everything. The knocks? The camera. The weird timing. The way he always seemed to appear out of nowhere. I didn't want to cause drama, but I needed someone to know. Her reply chilled me. She had no idea this man was living there. Apparently, he wasn't on the lease. He wasn't supposed to be there. The man I'd been afraid of for weeks was essentially a stranger squatting next door. Something shifted in me that day. I realized I wasn't crazy. My gut was right. And I needed to take action, now. A friend shows up. That weekend, a friend came to visit. A big guy. The kind that makes creeps look twice. He hugged me in the driveway. Kissed me on the cheek. Helped me carry groceries in. And just like magic, my neighbor disappeared. No knocks. No conversations. No sudden appearances. We laughed when we caught him watching from his window with binoculars. Yes. Actual binoculars? I couldn't believe it. We played the part well. My friend stayed the night, helped install a door camera, and even took my dog for walks while I worked. Every time he showed up, the creep next door slinked away like a ghost. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. I'm not alone. I started talking to other women. Online. In real life. And the stories poured out. Neighbors who crossed boundaries. Strangers who lingered too long. Creeps who took politeness as permission. And in every story, one thing was the same. It always started small. A wave. A knock. A question? And then, escalation. I learned that it wasn't about being nice. It was about being safe. About trusting your gut. And about setting hard boundaries early, even if it means being rude. The power of
No!
So I practiced saying it. No. I don't want to talk. No. Don't come to my door. No. This is my home. You don't belong here. I rehearsed it with friends. I recorded it on my phone. And then, the next time I saw him standing by my stairs, I didn't smile. I didn't wave. I walked past him, phone in hand, recording, and said calmly, "Please stop trying to talk to me. This is the 5th time you've come to my door. I don't feel safe, and I've reported this to the landlord." He didn't say a word, just stared at me like I'd taken something from him. But he backed off. Since then, it's been quiet. He still lives next door, but the knocking stopped. The conversation stopped. And my landlord is looking into it. I still don't feel completely safe. But I've taken my power back. To anyone listening, trust your gut. Document everything. And don't let fear of seeming rude stop you from protecting yourself. You deserve peace. You deserve privacy. You deserve to feel safe in your own home. And most of all, you deserve to be heard.
Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Share it, because some stories are meant to be discovered together. And stay curious. I'll see you in the next chapter.